to $5 an hour, or reduces the price of milk, or increases the profits of the owner. And then there's the fully automated, that the cow just kind of goes through and gets milked, and that's only 3 minutes per day per human. But it uses a lot more energy, and it also has a lot higher wages. So as you can see, there are many processes like these that humans used to do themselves. We used to walk. Now we take a car. When you take a car, you use, depending on the boundaries, 200, 300, 400 times more energy than walking, but it gets you there 10 times faster. So this whole dynamic has powered us through the last 100-some years. So, well, in economics, outsourcing to more cheap locations and better technology has resulted in things getting cheaper over time. But energy is different. It follows more of a bathtub curve than a toaster. Toaster, are made in the Philippines or wherever, that they're incredibly cheap because of cost of labor and other things. But fossil carbon has gotten more expensive. We used to input 1 barrel of oil to get 100 back in the 1930s. By the 1970s, we had to drill offshore. That ratio went down to 30 to 1. About 14 years ago, the ratio was in the 11 to 17 ratio, and anecdotally now it's in the single digits. We're spending more of the energy to get the same amount of energy out. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So how does technology work then? Technology is actually a vector to use more energy. Think about the development of, for example, a lawnmower. All of a sudden, everyone wants a lawnmower, and you're selling all these lawnmowers. More diesel fuel needs to go in the lawnmowers. And the same thing with these time-saving devices on the gadgetry. Between 12 and 15% of our US energy is devoted to servers, internet servers, etc. And I read somewhere that 10% of internet traffic is related to cats. So, but anyway, so all these technology that makes us use more energy, and then we end up having these time-saving devices. We end up watching TV for 3 hours or doing, internet. So it's kind of weird. Okay, so this is a graph of global energy mix over the last 200 years. The beige part in the bottom is biomass, which is mostly trees. I did a tour when I was studying in the University of Vermont. That entire state was clear-cut in the 1860s. Why? Because people needed it for fuel and to build houses and such. But then we started to find coal, which is the gray, and then oil and natural gas, the green and the red. Hydro is the dark blue, nuclear is the light blue, and renewables can hardly be seen on here in the yellow. I'm going to show this graph again later after the human behavior part and tell you what those letters mean. So oil, there's plenty of oil, but it's getting more expensive. This is just a graph showing some of the capital expenditure increases for some of the major companies and flat to declining production. The graph on the left is just focus on the yellow line. The yellow line is the extraction cost, break-even extraction cost plus capital expenditures and dividends for the major oil companies, the biggest ones in the world. In 2000, it was $9, and it's gone up 17% a year, and now the break-even for next year is $120. That includes dividends and such. So the red and the black line show how much we produced. So yes, we are increasing our production a little bit, but it's costing a lot. We hear that the US is going to overtake Saudi Arabia. We literally have hundreds of years of fossil fuels in the ground. That is technically true. Oops, I wanted to go to this one first. So a lion might see this and say, holy crap, I'm rich in wildebeest, but it's a little bit different to actually immediately go and get one. There's a cost. So this is US oil production since 1945, and you can see, yes, there has been a major increase of late. The tight oil in North Dakota and some other shale plays. But this is not newly discovered oil. This is oil that was found a long time ago when oil was $5 or $10. And the fact that it's $100 now is why people can develop it. So if we look back to the slides I had earlier, it's not how much energy we have, it's the benefits that it throws off to society. And I'll return to that thought. So this is prices for the last 30 years for Europe, which is a little more closer to the world average because of natural gas. The bottom is coal, the middle is natural gas, and crude oil is the top. So even at today's prices, we are 2 to 4 times higher than the historical trend. As something that throws off as much benefits as it does, that means that this energy inefficient process of adding 1,000 or 5,000 units of energy to replace human labor has a problem because it's now getting more expensive. So if energy costs 5% of our GDP, in other words, 5% is spent drilling for oil and building solar panels and extracting coal, we have 19 benefits left for Disneyland and NASCAR and Minnesota College of Arts Design, hospitals, etc. But if energy extraction costs, not in dollar terms, but in energy terms, increase or double to 10% of GDP, which is where I think they're headed, then we only have 9 benefits left. So somehow those benefits need to be, something goes away. Okay, so that was energy. Now I'm moving on to money and finance. So what is money? Money is lots of things. I would define it as a claim, since energy drives our societies, I think. I think money is a claim on future energy. If you get paid today, it might be a claim 2 hours from now because you're going to go buy a dinner and some clothes, so it's not that much in the future. But you could have money in the bank and try and spend it 20 years from now, and it's a claim on that energy that will be powering society then. Money is really a marker for real capital. It's just a marker. It doesn't have any intrinsic value. And what is real capital? Ecological economics will tell you it's these 4 things. Natural capital, which is trees and healthy ecosystems and fields and soil. That's my backyard, by the way. Social capital, which is our friends, our networks, our relationships. In this case, my 2 dogs. Built capital, which is the things that we use natural resources and energy to create, like this building or this microphone. In this case, it's my house with some solar PV and some chainsaws and an aloe vera plant and a grill. And all that is built capital. And then there's human capital, which is our skills and our knowledge and our health. That's me identifying a large edible hand-of-the-woods mushroom. That's my dad. He knows how to fix people's broken knees and legs, and also plants vegetables, though he complains a lot about it. So this is what money represents. So in the past, when we had money, we could get maybe a loan because if someone was planting crops and they had land a couple 100, 300 years ago or whatever, well, clearly they have the land and clearly they're going to get a crop, so I'll give you some money for that ahead of time because I know I'm going to get paid back. The loan was backed by natural resources. This has often been the case until around 1970 when we decoupled from the gold standard. Every currency in the world right now is not backed by anything. Any natural resource. So I was going to choose either Bart Simpson or Alan Greenspan. So money, this is how money creation works. And I have an MBA in finance, and I was not taught this at University of Chicago. When you go, you sir, I'm going to use you as an example, when you go to get a loan from a local bank in Minneapolis, Bremer Bank, you look respectable, you just got a haircut, your resume looks fine. We think you're creditworthy. We're going to give you $500,000 for your new business. At that moment, something really interesting happens. $500,000 shows up in your checking account, and at the same time, a $500,000 asset shows up on the bank's account. So from the bank's perspective, nothing has happened.